Welcome to Attracting Your Life. I'm your host, Maisha, and we're coming to you live on BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. I hope you guys had a great week. For me, it was a little bit trying. I did have a death in the family. It was my stepdaughter. It's kind of hard because she was so young, but she was always one who encouraged me about doing what I love, which is the show and helping my clients. So it would almost be like a slap in her face if it didn't continue. But one thing I did learn, and I feel really strong about it, she did live her life to the fullest. So if there's anything I could pass on to you is just for today, be the best that you can be and live your life to the fullest each moment. That's one thing that, my stepdaughter was really powerful about. So last week, we talked about the beautiful healing modality called Reiki. And if you missed the show, you can always pick up the podcast on iHeart or Apple Tunes and just look up Attracting Your Life or Maisha Bradford, and you'll find us there. And tonight, we'll be talking about using magic to manifest your desires. Imagine a future of your design. Can you see it? A life of your will. Can you feel it? Words and desires and affirmations and chants whose circumstance is congruent. At what point did you realize that things could occur by simply speaking a word? I will live my life as per my design. If the first and the second were conceived, then I'll put to effect the third, and you'll see I'm living my life with magic to my design. My guest today is Carl Nagel, and he's a leading authority on psychic and occult scientists, formerly a member of the Psychic Research Society of Australia. Carl is widely known for his writing on psychic and metaphysical phenomenon and how to use the mysterious powers of the invisible world to bring to frame fortune and happiness of what you desire. He has written over 100 books. I've lost count of how many books, and I'm going to really ask him that question, like how many books he wrote. But one of the books that for me was so amazing is a book called The Hidden Secrets. This book is completely phenomenal. If you were to look it up on Amazon, you will see the book goes for over $1,000, which is mind-blowing to me. Just that. It's not for everyone, but it explains much of the practical, non-theoretical manner of magic. And I really appreciate that about the book. He also talks about a gamut of different areas such as Kabbalah, the golden light, and to UFOs. So welcome, Carl, on the show. Thank you so much. And I know we're connecting from Australia, and so I really appreciate you taking the time and meeting with us and talking to us. How are you today?
I'm fine, and thank you for asking me on the show.
So, real quick, how many books have you written, including your pamphlets?
Oh, it must be close to 200 now.
Golly, wow. Impressive. And it's still not stopping. You're still writing, right?
Still going. I just recently finished a 12-module course on magic and witchcraft.
Oh, that's great. That's interesting. So, at the end, I'm going to ask you, like, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you or they wanted to get some of these modules or, how could they connect with you? So let's dive right in. So how did you come to learn these hidden secrets that you discussed in your books?
Well, it all started with a woman, as a lot of things do. My first attempt at working magic at the age of 22 was a complete disaster, I don't mind admitting. It was a spell to win the love of a woman whom I had met at the Psychic Research Society of Australia, in fact. However, there's no doubt in my mind the whole sordid affair was instigated by the spirits to guide me further into their world. Because having failed with that piece of magic, I resolved to read every American pop magic book which were so popular at the time, which would have been around 1978. There was such titles as Telecalt Power, The Miracle of Psychic Command Power, Telecosmic Power, Ultra Psychonics, and The Miracle of New Avatar Power, just to name a few. I learned a lot from reading those books on the basics of how spells and rituals were formed and the format for applying one's own mental abilities. And as a consequence, I began forming my own spells and rituals based on occult tradition. And reading those books sensitized my mind to spirit influence, which led to the publication of my first book, Mystic Mind Power, way back in 1985.
So you were part of this group. You said that you kind of started into magic because you were trying to win the affection of someone, but you also said that I guess what I'm trying to say is, was it important that you had to be part of a group to kind of learn more about magic, or was it more of your own research?
Well, I'd been invited to the group by my cousin because she'd joined it a few months earlier and she thought I might find what they do there interesting. So I went along, and as a consequence, I got to know this woman, and what they did there was pretty basic, just meditation and psychometry and that type of thing. But I knew I needed more than that if I wanted to get her interested. That's what encouraged me to take a look at magic.
Like, for example, this book, you have a lot of chants, the hidden secrets. Is that something that you practice yourself? How do you know that they worked? Well, you said you created some of these chants. How did you kind of put them together?
They came from spirit.
Okay.
I know they work because I've used them to win cash and prizes, and I'm forever being contacted by people with testimonials on the effectiveness of the secrets. I can tell you some if you like.
Yeah, the book is chock full of them. And even myself, while I was doing research for this interview, I must say that I've manifested a couple of things. I'll just leave it at that. Some of it is a little bit personal, but I shared a few with you, and I was and that's within 2 weeks. Yeah, that was within 2 weeks that I was able to manifest some amazing things from some of the chants that you have in the book. And one of the things that I noticed that most of the chants, well, the one I was reading, I read the Hidden Secrets, and also I read the Ancient Babylonian...
Sacred Words of Power, yeah.
Yes. I noticed that some of these chants and these words, some of the names are names, things that I could find in the Kabbalah, which I kind of want to go into that. Like, how does magic and the Kabbalah kind of tie into it? Can you kind of touch on that?
Okay, well, the Kabbalah forms about 25% of modern occult thought because it resonates with so many aspects of magic. Well, for one thing, Tetragrammaton. That is the four-letter name of what I call the universal mind.
And what other people would call God, right?
God,
so,
yes.
And this is the word that Jews would say that they can't use to say the name of God. You know what? Let's just take a commercial break because I don't want to break from this. This is some good information. You're listening to Attracting Your Life. I'm your host, Maija. And when we come back, we're going to pick up more with Carl and magic. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Attracting Your Life, and I'm your host, Maija, and we're coming to you live from BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. And before the break, I started to get really excited and started really trying to get into this whole thing about magic. But I think one thing that we need to really break down, Carl, is when I was reading your book, I noticed that there is different spelling of the word magic. Versus, it's not spelled M-A-G-I-C, which you would usually see the word magic spelled. I saw it being spelled as M-A-G-I-C-K. Can you kind of explain to me the difference and if there's any meaning behind that?
Okay, magic with a K was first introduced by the famous, or maybe that should be infamous, occultist Aleister Crowley to differentiate between real magic, which is invoking spirits, and the stage illusion type magic.
Like the rabbit coming out the hat, right?
Yeah. That was the simple reason that he introduced it, so people would know that he was talking about invoking magic.
Got it. So, and I noticed that you also talk about mediumship as being like spiritualism. What did you mean by that? Like, why do you say that mediumship is like spiritualism? Because when I think of spiritualism, I think of like religion or someone trying to just connect with God or their higher power. Could you kind of talk to me more about that?
Yep. Well, to me, the terms are interchangeable. Like when people ask me what are the differences between spirits, demons and jinn, there is none. We are talking about the same thing, only using different labels. But getting back to your question, mediumship can be defined as the practice of certain people, known as mediums, to mediate communication between spirits of the dead and living human beings, utilising such things as channeling and Ouija boards. Spiritualism is defined as a system of belief or religious practice based on communication with the spirits of the dead. So essentially, same thing.
Got it. Now you did make a reference of jinn, and jinn is I think the Muslim word for angels, correct?
To the Muslims, and the jinn are usually the bad guys.
Okay, jinns are the bad guys. I didn't know that. Okay, great. I'm learning more and more. So can you please tell us more about like the 7 doorways or the 7 mystical power points, because you really talk about that, and it kind of ties into principles in the Kabbalah of like and chakra with the Hindu. So I kind of found that interesting question that I wanted to kind of go over with our listeners today. So could you tell us more about these 7 doorways?
Okay, well, I can confirm the 7 doorways that I referred to are indeed the 7 chakras.
Okay.
I call them doorways for the simple reason of wanting to use a different term.
Okay.
And I can assure you, I'm not the only occult author who's done this.
You're not the what? Say it again.
I'm not the only occult author who's used different terms for the chakras.
Oh, I'm sure of it. I just, for me, I really want people to see how that there is such a tie. When you hear the word occult, people start trying to reach out for their holy water, and they start getting scared. And I want people to realize that this is all one and the same. It's all part of spirituality. It's just whatever walk that you walk to get to that connecting of higher power.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And the occult really means just secret and mysterious, but there's nothing too mysterious about it.
Not in today's modern world. You could Google anything, right? You can find anything. So there's really no hidden secrets anymore. No. But the beauty about how I see that everything is so connected is that it takes away the fear. So many people, or like the Bible says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge, or people have these barriers just because they're fearful and they don't understand and they don't have a knowledge of something. So that's the reason why I have this platform. I just like to share with people how different things from different walks of life is really the same thing that you're doing. So, and I'm glad that you did explain that these 7 doorways or 7 mystical power points are the chakras, which a lot of us use in meditation, yoga, and it's very mainstream. I know that there's 144 chakra points now throughout the body. Is there something through the occult that you are aware of that opening up these 144 points help you stay in tune in the spiritual world? Or I know you didn't talk about it in the book, but I was just wondering.
Well, I have to admit that I was not aware of the 144 other chakras.
Did I just teach you something?
Gold star to you.
Great. But yes, I learned that too when I was studying the chakras. There's like 144 chakra points. And, the whole thing is what you call the 7 doorways is to try to use those energies to kind of flow through the other points so you have a sense of connection throughout the body. You can feel the heat. You can carry it from your solar plex, to your feet, to your back, to your shoulders. You can feel them throughout the other points, and even out of your body, like around your body through the aura.
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah.
So another concept that you talked about a lot in your books, both of your books that I've read so far, is the dice. How do you use the dice to hear silent voices versus dowsing pendulum? For me, I was introduced through dowsing pendulum. I never heard of using the dice before. So could you explain that to us?
Yes, well, the use of dice to foretell future events dates back to the Middle Ages. Why I use the dice as opposed to the pendulum is there's always the risk that even the slightest movement in the muscles of the arm or the hand can influence the swing of the pendulum.
That is so true.
Yeah, and it can give false answers. So dice are better because...
Yeah, I understand that. Let's take a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more with Carl about magic. You're listening to Attracting Your Life. I'm your host, Maija, and stay tuned. Welcome to Attracting Your Life. I'm your host, Maija, and we're coming to you live from BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. And before the break, we were talking to Carl about the dice and the pendulum. And you know what? You had a good point about that. And I've been teaching my boys about using the dowsing pendulum, and I do have to constantly tell them, stay still. And it's very hard for young little boys to do that. So I think I'm going to try to introduce the dice for that. But I really want to know about these power of chanting. So tell us about the power behind chants and the physical manifestation that you can make through these chants. Can you talk to us about that?
Okay. Chants, mystic vibrations. And the wise men of the past realized that certain chants and affirmations create unique vibrations. Now, these wizards also discovered that when they put these vibrations into action, the pulsating vibrations sought similar vibrations within the spirit forces named in the chant. As these vibrations merge, they become one force of energy that goes to work to make a physical manifestation of the spirit's power. In ancient times, this physical manifestation would have been called a miracle. We call it magic.
So when I started doing chanting, I was told to act like as if, and you know what?
As if it has already happened.
As it has already happened, but to speak and use a sound as if you're calling towards the universe, calling out into the universe. I'm trying to remember who or where did I read that from. And I think when we were talking, preparing for this, you told me that it's the person who wrote the book, The Power of the Avatar. No.
Oh, Miracle of New Avatar Power.
Yes. And there's like a whole chapter on how to say the chants. And like he talks about as if you should like resonate the words in the back of your throat, almost like those scary movies that I used to hate watching. But
well, the resonation that creates the right vibration. So
got it. It's all in the vibration.
Yeah, and those vibrations seek similar vibrations. Mm-hmm. Then they merge, and what you want to manifests.
Got it. So let's talk about manifestation now. In your books, both of your books, you talked about that you even use chants to win lottery. So, like, what did you do? How did you do that? Can you share that with us? Can you feel comfortable with sharing us a chant to help us win the lottery over here? I think it's like up to $10 million over here. That would be great for me and my family. So, you feel comfortable?
Yeah, for sure. What I did was I used a little bit of earth magic, by which I mean the elemental forces of the earth. In the world of magic, those forces are called gnomes. Now, I don't mean the little garden gnomes that you have sitting in your front. These are actual spirits. And one occult belief is that gnomes are the guardians of buried treasure and gold, and that their essence can be found in the earth, wood, and metals.
Okay.
So what I did was I went outside, picked up a pinch of soil, took it inside, sprinkled it on the floor. Now that may seem weird. That simple gesture forged a bond between me and the gnomes, without me having to say a word, and added power to what I was about to do. I imagined a golden square directly in front of me, and then slowly enlarged it until it was several feet tall and pulsating with magical power. In effect, I had created an elemental doorway to the astral world. I imagined myself bathed in its golden light and its energy circulating inside me. Then I pretended to reach inside the golden square, feel around until my hands touched 2 money bags, bulging with gold coins. I carefully withdrew my hands without letting go of the bags. Then in my mind, I reached into the bags to feel the gold coins, imagining them to be real. I then thanked the gnomes for their help and went out for a walk in the local park. This is where things get interesting. I walked past a scrap of paper on the ground, and I was maybe a few feet away. I didn't take any notice of the paper. I was a few feet away, and I felt a physical pull in the area of the solar plexus. So I knew then I had to go back and take a look at this piece of paper. And on it were written a few names and addresses. So I took the paper home, converted the letters to numbers, and it was those numbers that helped me to win the cash prizes in
You got to be kidding. No, really?
Yep, that's exactly true. I'll never forget the pull that I felt.
So was the walk in the park important? Was that part of the ritual, or was just like, okay, I'm finished with the ritual. Yeah. I'm just going to go out?
No, it wasn't. I just went out.
You just went out?
Yeah. It wasn't planned.
So here's the thing. And I'm glad that you said that, because magic is not happening during the ritual. It's happening after the ritual, once we're closed with the prayer and the chant.
That's right.
I think a lot of people miss that. So like, they're like, oh, I prayed or I chanted, I did this and I didn't feel anything. Nothing happened. Okay. It's in your everyday walk, working, right. Or that
everyday world. That's where the magic happens.
Correct. So that is amazing. Oh, wow. You didn't really talk about gnomes. Is that what you call it? Gnomes in your book? Or I didn't see that in the book. So what are gnomes again? You said they're earthly?
They're elemental spirits of the earth, yeah.
Okay, and these are different than what we would call like spirits from the infinite void.
Yes, because these are part of the 4 elements of the world.
Got it, okay. Fire. Oh, so they're associated with one of the elements.
Yeah.
And the one that you use for winning is the one that's part of the
earth. The earth element presents material things, things you can feel and hold in your hands.
Got it. Interesting. Okay, I'm very intrigued. Okay, I'm very intrigued about that. I mean, I want to learn a little bit more about that. We're going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about this magic and the different ways that we can use it to manifest things in our life. Stay tuned. Okay, welcome back, everyone. This is Attracting Your Life, and I'm your host, Maisha. And we're coming to you live from BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. And I am honored with the guest that we have today, Carl Nagel, and we're talking about magic. And we're learning so much, and I'm trying to stay focused on questions that will be beneficial to everyone. So one question that I do have is, you even talk about the power of the tetragrammaton. Did I say it right? Yes, I said it right. And I found it interesting that you even touched upon this. And I know earlier in our interview you did talk about it, but I wanted to kind of walk it through. So this is the word that I know my background is Christian and Catholic, and we have the Torah that's part of the Old Testament. They would say that you couldn't say this word because it was like blasphemy, because the word was so powerful. And you talk about this word and the power of it in your magic books. So can you kind of touch upon that?
Yep. The tetragrammaton in Kabbalism is considered the 4-letter name of the universal mind, which some people call God. And it's pronounced Yod, He, Vor, He. And it's considered the ultimate magical word because many believe that it was that word that the universal mind created the world by pronouncing it correctly.
And then, so I noticed, so isn't that a word that has to resonate in the back of your throat? Like Yod, He, Va, He. Is it something like that? Or
I know a lot of people who follow magic and practices that put a lot of importance on
the vibration.
To vibrate at the back of your throat and that, but just saying it as a word is okay too.
Okay.
Yod, He, Vor, He.
Yod, He, Vor, He. And this is a word that is said that's part of the middle pillar ritual?
Yes, it's part of it. Yes, well, in Miracle of Your Avatar Power begins the Avatar Power ritual, which then leads into the middle pillar ritual. So in that respect, it's part of it, yeah.
And also the cross, what is it called? The ritual of cross, oh gosh.
Oh, the Kabbalistic cross.
Kabbalistic cross. So, yeah. And which are part of the Kabbalah, and those are things that you talk about in your magic books. And one thing that I found interesting is that you talked about the color when you start the meditation. Usually, like for example, the middle pillar, you always envision a white ball, circular sphere ball, starting at the crown of your head and then going down. But you even talked about with different colors, like if you're doing something for healing, to even start with the ball being green. So can you kind of talk to us about like what's the power or the symbolic between the different colors? You even said for finance, envision the color gold, if I remember correctly.
Gold is the colour associated with riches and money and material possessions. Red you would use for, lustful purposes. If you wanted to perhaps send out a force against an enemy. Green is, like you said, healing. What's the other colours?
I know you go over it in your book. Like you really go into detail, and that's really good. And, But my question really is, what is the symbolic, or why would you envision, like, for example, you just said red, if you want to send out an energy against one of your enemies, why would you envision that color being all over you? I understand green for healing, or I guess my question is, like, why would you go through this whole process of the middle pillar in that color if you're trying to send out that energy?
The pillar releases the magical power of the Kabbalah.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And then the color focuses it on a specific area.
Okay. Can you put that in a different context for me? I'm not really getting. So you're saying that the middle pillar is the start of the energy force.
Yes.
Got it. And then the other rituals is sending it out. Am I understanding? Okay. Right. Perfect. I'm a little slow. That's why I ask questions.
The middle pillar ritual is a rather complicated thing to get your mind around. So
it is. And
I try to make it as simple as possible in the books. But
I know that Israel Radadi, I think I'm pronouncing it. Radadi. He called himself making it simple, and I still found it very complex to read it. I know that I did find some audio, so if people are really interested in the middle pillar, I find the audios that Israel Radadi made are very helpful in doing the middle pillar ritual, especially with the pronunciation of the particular names.
Yeah.
It's just easier for him to say, and you just kind of sit there and kind of, go through the meditation, a guided meditation. I find those to be very helpful.
Avatar Power makes the pronunciation simple too, because he...
Oh, yes, that is true. That is true. And I need to find a copy of that book too. I think I shared with you, I had and I've shared with other people, I had a really bad fire in January, and I lost a lot of my books. And one of the book is the new Avatar Power, which...
Yeah, it's quite expensive too.
Yes, and I had a copy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and so. But anyway, there's a reason for everything. But in your book, The Ancient Babylon Magic Secrets, I like that book a lot, because you just don't list the chance and affirmation. In this book, you prepare the reader mentally and spiritually to accept the abundance that's going to be brought through the chants that are that you're teaching. Like, for example, you kind of talk about that money and abundance is a person's birthright. And you explain how the great universal mind of the cosmos, God's source energy, is wishing this upon you. And that was something that was really powerful for me to read that. I know we have to go on a commercial break, but when we come back, I kind of want to talk about this a little bit more. So you're listening to Attracting Your Life. I'm your host, Maisha, and we're going to pick it up after this commercial break. Stay tuned. Welcome, everyone. You're listening to Attracting Your Life, and I'm your host, Maisha, and we're coming to you live from BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. And before the break, we were talking about this book that I really enjoyed, The Ancient Babylon Magical Secrets. And in this book, you really make it clear about the difference between the universal mind and the cosmos. And I was hoping that you could kind of share that with everyone, because at a glance, I thought you were using these words interchangeably. I had to read it like twice to really grasp it. Can you share with us the difference between the two?
Yep. Cosmos, to my way of thinking, is the universe, the reality in which we live, including the unseen dimensions. Whereas universal mind is life itself. There's a psychic energy that flows through and out of every object within the cosmos. It's the infinite power of good. And one way of tuning into the universal mind's creative energies is through the middle pillar ritual, which we just discussed.
Right.
Transmit your desire through the ritual to the universal mind that replies in kind. And acceptance of the universal mind's existence can lead to health, wealth, and happiness. Refusal can, and usually does, lead to poverty and despair. And acceptance is simplicity itself. You only need to do three things to get things rolling. First,
what are those three?
Okay. First, know that you are one of the most powerful creative forces in the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
Second, accept the fact that you can work personal miracles. And third, know that magical power is ready to flow through you 24 hours a day.
That was powerful. That was very powerful. And that's what I was talking about, that in your book, you prepare people's minds to understand on the concepts that you're going to be expressing in the book. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate that. So one thing that I really want you to share too is about the 6 steps toward magical prosperity. This is outside of what you had shared with us about winning the lottery, which thank you. I'm going to try that. But what are those 6 steps? Because I thought those were very powerful. Do you mind sharing that with us today?
No, don't. Okay, the first step is in attracting prosperity into your life is all doubt and uncertainty must be removed from your mind, because doubt can kill any psychic or magical process dead in its tracks. Magic is all about communicating your intent to the spirits and or the universal mind, which then reply in kind. Now that intent can be an overall goal or a specific need. If you imagine money flowing to you, but you're also thinking at the same time nothing will happen, then the spirits won't get the right instruction. They'll respond to your expectation that nothing will happen and not do anything.
This almost sounds like the law of attraction.
Well, basically it is. It is.
Okay.
Magic is, yes. That's why doubt impacts magic so much. It interferes with even the simplest requests.
Got it.
Okay, step 2. If you don't possess a strong desire for financial security or anything, but we're talking about finances here, you stand a chance of stirring the occult forces that govern riches and prosperity into action to help you achieve your goals. All spirits and supernatural forces are drawn to and respond to strong emotions. On a metaphysical... Sorry, go on.
What do you mean by strong emotion? Of course everybody wants to be rich, or everybody wants to have...
Saying, yes, I want this, but really desiring it is 2 different things, to my way of thinking anyway.
So people saying that they want something, but they're not doing the work for it, or even doing simple chants to this, or changing their mind frame.
That's right. That's exactly it, yes.
Got it.
And when you have a strong desire, on a metaphysical level, we begin to glow. And this glow is seen by the inhabitants of the astral world, and that's what attracts them to us.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know about that with the glow. Okay, great. Good. And then, so what's number 3?
Number 3 is to be constantly alert to potential money-making ideas. Now, okay, all great men of wealth shared a common bond. Now, I'm not just talking about money, but a special quality which enabled them to materialize large sums of money in their lives. Now, this quality was the simple fact that they were constantly alert to potential money-making ideas with which to increase their healthy bank accounts. Whenever these opportunities presented themselves, we can be safe in assuming that they did not stop and think, should I do this? Will this work? No, they grasped the opportunity with both hands and put it into effect.
So there's a lot of opportunities out there. So how do you know one being a scam or this is what the universe is presenting? Is there a way to kind of decipher that?
Well, I was about to tell you.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm just so excited.
Okay. If, as you continue your journey along the mystic path, if at some time you are prompted to invent something or offer your services or invest in something, do it. As this will be the universal mind showing you the quickest way to prosperity.
Got it.
To be prompted. You have to feel like the idea coming into your mind that, go with this, do this.
Got it, because they're guiding you.
Yes.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah. So that's very important in magic. You have to listen to your mind, the intuition. You follow it.
Okay.
9 times out of 10, that'll be the spirits talking to you.
Understandable. How about number 4?
Number 4. The power to draw more money into our lives is not dependent on education or social standing. A factory worker who never had the chance to finish his education can attract prosperity in much the same way as the successful businessman once the power of magical rites and ceremonies are put into action. I was short of cash not so long ago. I recited an invocation to a money spirit and within 10 days had received over $2,000.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Now, you remember, the power of magic is available to anyone, and it can and will work for anyone.
Wow. Okay. That is interesting. It will. There's no respecter of person. That's awesome. So wait, listen, let's go to commercial break, and then we're going to pick up 5 and 6 when we come back. You're listening to Attracting Your Life, and I'm your host, Maija, and stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. This is Attracting Your Life, and I'm your host, Maija. And before the break, we were talking about the 6 steps. Now, we left off at number 4. We just finished that. Can we go straight to number 5 and 6, Carl?
No problem. As I've already said, you need to be specific in your needs and desires. Once you know how much money you need to meet your current needs, you can begin the process of drawing it into your life. Now, it's important not to forget anything is possible if you put the magic power of chance and affirmations to work in your life. A man from the Seychelles once wrote to me with a tale of financial woe, and I wrote back instructing him on how to attract money with magic. A few weeks later, second letter arrived, read, "Since using the money rituals, I've had results every day!" Exclamation mark.
Awesome. So it's important to know how much money you need.
That's it. You have to have a specific goal. So and the spirits like it when you give them a specific goal.
Got it. And so how about number 6?
Okay, number 6 is spending a few minutes of your time silently reading through each chant and affirmation until you find one suited to your own unique personality. Now, people have often asked me why I've written so many books on magic. They say if magic works, surely only one magical system would be needed, not so many. The truth is, each of us needs to find that one unique magical system that resonates with our inner being. Once that system is found, magic happens.
So one thing I found interesting, like you have a whole chapter on the finance. I haven't been able to figure out which chant do I really like the most. So there's ones that I do on Monday, some I do on Sunday because of the particular person, particular spirit that I'll be using. But I didn't think about it, the personality part of it.
There's one particular chant or affirmation that you feel drawn to more than others?
Yes, I like the one that's just basically invoking, letting you know that you are a powerful being. I love that one. I really do. And I see that a lot of things open up with that. But then when I say something with Marduk, I feel powerful too.
Right. Well, Marduk is a powerful spirit, so we consider using that one.
Okay.
That's what I'm using.
Okay. Now, we have a few minutes left. I really want to make sure that if people would like to, get some more books or to talk to you, how can people reach out to you?
Well, I can leave my email address with you, and they can get it through you or the show.
That will be great. So if people are interested, please just reach out, attractingyourlife.com, and I will definitely pass that information to Carl. Another thing that I would like you guys to do is to go on Amazon. There's a lot of books that Carl have written, and if you're interested in learning more about that. But Carl, thank you so much for coming on the show. I think we really definitely need to come back. You need to try to get you back on here. And thank you everyone for listening. You're listening to Attracting Your Life. I'm your host, Maija, and I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.